activities, as well as the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance, or AUNQA. In today's changing landscape, faculty from the Institute of Education continue to strive for excellence by innovating and adapting to new trends and approaches in teacher education. Our techniques and practices are constantly evaluated to ensure that students are imbued with professional skills that enable them to adapt to their environment. In FEUIE, students are at the forefront of the program. Student centered learning is embedded in the way the faculty design and implement their lessons and class activities. We celebrate diversity and recognize the differences in student context. We ensure that every student is an essential part of the conversation.
The FEU Institute of Education has developed this unique teaching and learning culture in which students are seen as co-creators of knowledge and teachers as facilitators of learning. This kind of setup develops an excellent, one-of-a-kind learning experience for the students. Our faculty are experts in the field of education and research. They are all updated in the latest trends in teacher education.
The Institute of Education recognizes that we are part of a larger community. We ensure that students are not just limited to the classroom, but are engaged in their community.
IE makes sure students have the best college life experience possible with its student-based organizations such as the Institute of Education Student Council and the Young Educators Society. Students are able to experience programs and activities that do not only cater to their academic needs, but also hone their leadership skills through extracurricular activities such as the student organizations help the institute to reach out to communities in need.
FEUIE advocates for our teachers' welfare, values the importance of research, and contributes to our partner institutions to ensure that the transformative power of education reaches everyone.
This is the Institute of Education, where students, faculty, and staff work hand in hand to build a future-ready community.
Welcome to Far Eastern University. Here are some reminders from the FEU Office of Education Technology. Join 15 minutes before the start of the event. Make sure to dress appropriately. Remember that this is a formal engagement in an online setting. Check your Wi-Fi connection before joining. Familiarize yourself with features you may need to use, such as mute, unmute, stop, start video, and screen share. Mute your mic when not talking. Use the raise hand button if you want to speak. Find a quiet place without interruptions. Be aware that you are on camera. Avoid doing things that may cause distraction. Use appropriate equipment for the webinar. If you're using your mobile phone, please use a headset to reduce the noise that they pick in your location. Please avoid using a speaker. When asking a question, always state your name and your institute department first before throwing in your questions. Also, please make your voices clearly heard. If you are tuned into our social media accounts, please state your nickname, department, and your question. Do not spam the chat box. Always be courteous and do not engage in a chat with others while the webinar is ongoing. The organizers reserve their right to disengage anyone who will not follow the guidelines. We are now ready to start our event.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, students, teachers, faculties, and welcome to the digital teaching learning tools for wired flexible learning provided by the FEU Institute of Education as a commemoration for the Teachers Month celebration. I hope that each and every one of you are safe at the comfort of your homes. And for those who are at work, please stay safe and please sanitize. I am taking this opportunity to remind everyone to practice all of the COVID-19 health protocols to help flatten the curve as we take a step forward in battling the pandemic in hopes of a COVID-free world in the future. I would also like to encourage everyone um, to please register to their local vaccination sites so we can achieve herd immunity as soon as possible. And provided in the chat box is the link for the attendance. I encourage everyone to take the attendance for the program. And I am Maria Mariela Erica Di Pesaro, a fourth-year student from FEU Institute of Education, and I will be your moderator for this evening. The FEU Institute of Education presents to you our very esteemed speaker for tonight. She is an experienced foreign language educator with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry, skilled in teaching, teacher training, and course development. She completed a bachelor's degree in education at the University of Central Florida. In addition, she holds a master's degree in higher education administration. Also, she is soon to complete a second master's degree in teaching English as a second language at the University of Central Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Luisa Mejia. Let's give her a round of applause.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Erica, for the warm welcome. It sounds kind of interesting when you hear somebody else talking about you. So thank you so much for that warm welcome. And welcome, everybody. I was going to say good morning because I am in Orlando. This is where my home is. So good morning to you guys, but good afternoon to everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Lots and lots of great things to cover today. So I'm quite excited about the material that we're going to be covering. But the first thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, it's a kind of interesting question. You can answer in the chat, or you can hopefully just tell me, but what is your favorite musical, if any? If you have a musical that you say, that's my absolute favorite, which one it is. I'm just curious as to what you're watching at this moment, what you have liked in the past. It could be a Disney movie. Some people love Frozen. That's their thing. One of my favorites has been Tangled. So I hope, that you can tell me what your favorite musical is. So let's see, we got some Wicked. Oh, nice. Les Miserables. Okay, good. Rent was a good one. High School Musical. Okay. Hamilton, Tangled, and Aladdin. Really good ones. Yes. Yes. Phantom of the Opera. Nice. Okay. Cinderella. Good, good, good. You guys were right. Yes, we got our musicals down. Pitch Perfect. Oh, The Greatest Showman. That was so good. I love that one. Moana. Okay, great. Great. Anastasia. Perfect. I would not have thought of Pitch Perfect. So thank you, May, for that contribution. That was actually a really funny, good, musical. So good choices. Great. Mamma Mia was great. Awesome. Yes. Very nice options. In the Heights, I have not watched it. I should, because I lived in New York for a while. Legally Blonde, the musical. Ooh, that must be good too. Okay, all right. You guys have such great, your musicals. So Fiddle on the Roof. Okay, nice. Good. Lady Marmalade. I don't think I've seen a musical for Lady Marmalade, but all right, perfect. So that was my first question. You guys did great answering, lots of engagement there. So what we're going to be covering today, and there's a reason why I asked you for that, you're just going to have to wait until the end. But I of course, in partnership with Far Eastern University and the Department of State, working with you guys to encourage and to teach and to guide you on how to use digital teaching learning tools for wire flexible learning. So that by itself, the title of today's presentation, it's a mouthful, right? It's a lot. Let's just go over one more time. So it says digital teaching learning tools for wired flexible learning. So let's see what all of that means, okay? So here's our agenda for today, and we have, again, quite a bit to cover. And so we're looking at what is wired learning, kind of breaking the pieces down. What is flexible learning? And then, of course, what is wired flexible learning? What digital tools are you familiar with? What digital tools do you think you would like to use? And also kind of a little bit of more experimental, insightful presentation when it comes to where we came from, where we're going, and then kind of the student experience and what we do, all of this. So again, we have lots of things to cover, but let's get started from our title of our presentation. What is wire learning? When I started working on the presentation, I have learned, of course, or I have done a lot of online learning, right, or e-learning, but I had not really, this term right here was not catchy for me. But really, wire learning, it's not something that we are not familiar with. We're definitely familiar with wire learning. It's just a fancy way of describing the use of wired tools, such as the internet, computers, cell phones, and other electronics, okay? What do computers have? Lots of wires. Cell phones, not so much. You just need to plug them in, but that's all it means. You are connected somehow to a wired a computer or a cell phone or an electronic device. But of course, we are now using them in an educational environment. I'm sure, and I could do a little bit, of a poll here, but I'm sure how many of us are on our cell phone today, right? There's lots and lots of people. You can say me, and then I could take a look at it on the chat. If you're on your cell phone tonight. Yeah. Okay. So I got a hand up. Good. Let me see. Nobody else has answered, but yeah, lots of us are on our cell phone. Of course, as a presenter, I'm on my computer. But let's say I was, doing some other things. I may likely be listening on my phone, making sure that I'm still connected. But again, I think was it my internet that dropped?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So let me go back for a second. I'm not sure why it did that. Let me go back. See, I was wireless for a second, meaning I was not connected. So let's just go back from the beginning here. So wired learning is just that. It means that we're connected to a wire, something that we do educationally with an electronic device. Okay. I think we ended up here in that part. And I asked who here was in a cell phone listening to the presentation today. And you can either raise your hand or give me a thumbs up, or yeah, you can raise your hand or give me a little thumbs up. Just don't forget to put your hand down again after you're done. Okay, lots of people are on their cell phone. Yep, absolutely. So we are fitting exactly what wired learning is. You're not technically connected right now to a cell phone, but you do connect it to get your battery, of course, charged. And so we are doing exactly this. We are learning in a wired environment. The next one is, what is flexible learning? Okay. Flexible is just that. It gives people flexibility. Okay. It gives people the ability to complete the course, part of it face to face, part of it online, and then of course a mixture of those two. Okay. And the important part of flexible learning is that you do not lose quality of your education. So that means that we're still getting and receiving really high quality education, whether it is in a face-to-face format, or if you only meet with your instructor maybe 4 or 5 times in the semester and the rest of the work you completed online. So again, that's what flexible learning is. It just gives students flexibility to complete the course. And let's put it all together. So we have wired, flexible learning. So some of us are in our computer, some of us are in our cell phone. Those are usually the things that we normally do use. Of course, a tablet maybe, but we are connected either on the internet, either we charged our phone, something required a wire to be able to take this conference or this workshop. And then of course we're using it for a learning environment, and that's what this is, wired learning, and it's a flexible wired learning. Now here are some of the benefits of wired learning. It helps us to continue to modernize education and follow some global educational trends. It's convenient, right? I'm in the other side of the world. I'm in Orlando. I can jump in and go ahead and teach this workshop. You guys may be at home. It's just, again, you've already taken care of family, or you're in the process of taking care of family, and it's just convenient for you. Here's a very interesting part of it. It allows for more students per course. One of my areas, as Erica mentioned, is higher education administration. When you're an administrator, one thing is definitely the difference between faculty and staff, right? But when you're an administrator, you want higher enrollment. And online learning, wire flexible learning allows that. It gives students another option for taking a course. It does promote self-reliance and lifelong learning. One of the things we're going to cover is our experience with online learning in just a minute, but it supposedly promotes it, right? It makes you responsible for your learning. It pushes you to, okay, I have to take this class. I can take it online. I can do that, right? And then, of course, it helps people develop 21st century learning skills. There are a lot of people out there that need to be able to use Zoom, that need to be able to use other digital tools when taking a class. And then they're going to take what they learn in a course, hopefully into a work environment. I see Maria Concepcion's hands raised. I'm not sure if it was when I asked you guys to see who was taking their cell phone or the workshop in their cell phone. I'm not sure. Maria, you may want to ask your question if you have one on the chat, and then we'll continue. Now, let's put it all together. Continuing with this idea of why should we do wire flexible learning? It reduces face-to-face time interaction. In this day and age, we should be able to accommodate to the students' need, okay? That's the idea. We're always thinking of the students. And students can't sit in a classroom, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, and just, to absorb the learning as it has been done with traditional learning. Today, if you meet your instructor maybe 5-6 times in the semester, that's great. And all the other work, again, as I mentioned, you can do it online. I mentioned a little bit about the quality. The quality stays the same. There's no difference there. And then it is designed to be a student-centered, collaboration learning idea, right? It's not just for you to be isolated. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. I wanted to give you guys some definitions as to where do we find wire flexible learning, because I think there's a little bit of confusion. So the wire flexible learning is the large umbrella where all of these are, okay? So you have e-learning, blended learning, flipped learning, and mobile learning. So I'm gonna go over the good and the bad of each one of those. I normally say the good and the ugly, okay? The good is, for e-learning, it could be an interactive and collaborative. Once again, more students per enrollment. There's some gamification, and we're going to cover that in a little bit as to how you can engage students a little bit more. And then it's focused on the student learning outcomes. The ugly side of e-learning, and one of the reasons we are here is because there's not enough know-how to. So basically, teachers don't know how to develop some of the e-learning tools that they have, or how to develop an entire course or even a program online. Also, a lot of teachers, I think a few years back, I think is getting a little bit more acceptance, were reluctant when it came to gamification. They were very serious about education, because education is a serious subject. But we now know that we learn better when we're playing, there's lots and lots of educational games, not only for children. It's not just for children, but for adults, right? And we're going to be using, it's not really a game, but it's an interactive tool that I like to use when I'm doing this workshop. One of the things we have to continue to remember is that in e-learning, sometimes the technology can become more important than the actual subject. So if we're teaching science, it becomes too much of a technical class versus the actual subject of teaching a science class. So that's the kind of bad part of it. Also, affordability. How many people can afford to take a class online? Are they only on their cell phone? Do they have the computer, programming that they need to actually take the course? And then the last one is acceptability from both sides. From the faculty sometimes are set in their ways. How do we push them to actually learn new skills? And then also from students and from the public in general. Is it widely acceptable that yes, e-learning or an online course is just as good as a face-to-face one? So that's something to consider, and that is e-learning. For blended learning, and again, it uses lots of emerging technologies, tablets, not tables, tablets, phones, of course, computers. It allows for more students, increased technical skills for students, flexibility on learning. That's the key right there. And then, of course, added resources. The students have access to so much more information. The ugly is that, especially, and I think you guys know this, there's limited Wi-Fi access. There's insufficient expertise on developing blended learning programs. So what part do you deliver face-to-face? What part can you actually deliver online? So that part is more on the faculty side than on the student side, because there's, again, a lack of training, a lack of knowledge of how to develop blended learning coursework. We also see, and this one's really important, a lack of student participation. You can have beautiful modules and beautiful material online, but if the student's not engaged, if you don't see their participation, then of course they're not learning. And then it does take time for the students to learn this, to know how to do time management. We get busy with life, right? We have to go grocery shopping. We have to do our homework for other classes. We have to take care of our family. So when do we actually are able to do our assignments online? So those are things that we have to look into for blended learning. All right. And then the next one is the flipped learning. It also falls into the wired learning. The good side of flipped learning is it's more inclusive for students with disabilities. They get to do a lot of things at home, then they get to participate in activities in the classroom where they apply their knowledge. And then, of course, later on, you ensure that the student has completed the student learning outcomes by kind of following up with the idea of, it's not really in class. It's very much in class, you apply what you learn, but then we still have to check that they learn that information. With flipped learning, there's greater student engagement. Students have to probably complete a big portion of their coursework before they get to the classroom. And then we have also a positive faculty view. Faculty have to buy into the idea of flipped learning. And a lot of faculty like this because it's very positive when you're a faculty member and you see that your students are doing their homework, they come prepared for class. And then that in class, you can apply that knowledge. It's a very interesting dynamic when you see that happen in higher education. And then also students have to complete their homework. So there's a higher rate of homework completion. Now let's look at the ugly for flipped learning. Once again, it's very limited, the training that we have for faculty on how to develop this type of courses. The students become also a little bit dependent on their instructor. Teacher, what do we have to do? Teacher, what do we have to do? And it's kind of like, if you don't have had, or if you didn't have a plan before your class, things are not going to work out well because the students are going to continue want to get that homework, right? Because you got them used to doing that. So it creates some sort of teacher dependency in there. And then also there's a lack of incentives to complete homework other than your own well-being, other than your own knowledge acquisition, unless there's digital badges or digital things that you add there. what makes the students complete their homework, right? So let's take a look at the last one. And then I have some questions for you guys. Mobile learning, we are doing it right here. We asked how many of you were taking this workshop on from their phone. And then of course there's an increased participation. Let's see how many of us are here. There's 150 people taking this workshop. So we know you can take this type of learning anytime, anywhere, right? So that's good. That's positive. We want to reach people. Education, allowing a much wider, a much broader population to participate. Advanced technical skills, you guys have to have the skills to join this session. I know we take that for granted because we're doing it now, either Zoom, Teams, whatever it is, you have to have the technical skills to be able to do this. And then there's been a boom of educational apps that you can use, right? So everybody can access their grades on their phones. You can actually submit some of your homework on your phone. So that also allows for mobility. You don't have to be at home or in front of your computer to turn in your homework. The ugly side of this is that the quality of the information, the quality of the interaction may not be there. Okay, so that's questionable. Let's say you are in this workshop, but you're driving, right? There's divided attention. How much do you retain? How much do you learn? Let's say you're also in the workshop, but you're cooking dinner for your family, or your family is talking to you. How much of the information are you able to retain? Wi-Fi, I know we all, I just got disconnected. So Wi-Fi access, sometimes it lags behind. I'm also, and I don't think I actually put this in my biography, but I was born and raised in South America. And so I understand Wi-Fi is just slow. So you always gonna have connectivity issues. This one's really important right here. Cyberbullying is very interesting because we have taken lots of measures to now have a much more friendly environment. But cyberbullying is real. I have seen it happen, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. Students probably recording a session, making videos or joking about a particular student, harassing the student online. Those are things that actually happen on every day. And we of course have to have rules, regulations, and added security for our students, for our staff, for the participants of a workshop to be able to not be victims of cyberbullying. But it happens. And then when it comes to mobile learning, there's still limited access to the app's full capacity. So you have access to more resources when let's say you're in your computer versus when you're on your phone, right? You can only see a limited amount of things on your cell phone. So that's a lot of information. I know I just gave you 4 things. So e-learning, let's just go back for a second. E-learning, blended learning, and flipped learning, and then the last one, mobile learning. So all of those fall under the umbrella of wire flexible learning. Now, this is my favorite part. I want to share with you guys where we came from. Okay, kind of taking a look back to the history of online learning. And I'm going to talk about my experience, and I'm going to ask you guys shortly what your experience has been. But the first thing is, like, when we first started working or taking online courses, it was very isolated, meaning it was you and the computer, nobody else. You never got to see your instructors. You never saw them like you're seeing me here right now. You never saw your instructors at all. You may get a message from them, but not even a picture. It was like a name, right? It was difficult to find materials that interacted in that online environment. Sometimes an online course was difficult to follow. You weren't sure if you were supposed to do this, or you're supposed to do this, or you're supposed to do that. Where were you in the course? So that was difficult. Also, the material was a little dry. There was no critical thinking, no creativity. it was just boring. It was just not interesting. Also, there was no peer-to-peer interaction. I remember you will have discussions, but the discussions were like answer to at least two. So they were pushing for interaction. And I think that grew from that point, but still it was very limited. And then again, the discussions were not interesting. It was a little boring. So here's the truth of online learning, wired flexible learning. It's here to stay. It's here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. The online learning, again, environment, it's going to continue to grow. The National Center for Education shows that in the fall of 2018, more than 6.9 million students, or 35.3% of students in the United States, were enrolled in distance learning. Now, after the pandemic, or the onset of the pandemic, everybody was online. 5-year-olds were online that have never taken an online course. So we know that online learning occurred, yes, for some populations because of the pandemic, but also it had been happening. It was starting to be the normal. Already by 2018, 6.9 million students were online. Today, at one point, everybody was taking online courses. So that's how incredibly crazy the online learning environment grew from one year to the next. And then, of course, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Now, I'll tell you guys about my experience, and then in a minute, I will ask you about yours. When I was in my undergraduate program, I took 75% of my classes online. This was back in 2009. We're looking into like 10 years in the past. I loved the flexible learning. It was fun for me because, or not fun, I shouldn't have said fun, it's more convenient, right? It allowed me to keep my full-time job. And then I could do my homework from home, right? I didn't really like that never got to talk to my teachers. There was no interaction. So I felt very lonely. And I wanted to give you guys an example of a class that I took. I'm not a biology or a science major. I was very a social science, humanities, languages kind of person. So biology was a challenging class for me. And I remember asking for the instructor, can I talk to this person? Can I actually meet them? And the teacher, and I never got to meet him. I don't remember if I got a bad grade or I'm a good student, so I probably didn't get a horrible grade, but it was not a happy experience. And I'm glad I didn't have that happy experience, because it allows me to share that with you guys. I never got to meet that person. I never got a chance to talk to him or her, and it was a him, but face to face or online, or not even, I don't remember even, like, he just posted things online, and then I was supposed to just know exactly what I was supposed to do. So it was very frustrating. Assessments were also an area where it was not clear what the expectations were. So again, kind of obscured experience there. For my graduate coursework, I like learning online so much that I decided to go 100% online. And again, we're looking almost 10 years ago. My entire master's degree was completed online. But then again, I never got to meet my teachers. I saw maybe a paragraph of an introduction, never a video. I never heard their voice. And then hard classes were even harder. I remember taking a statistics class. I would get sick just thinking about it, because it was so difficult for me to learn that material online. And there was very little institutional support. You're supposed to just know what you were supposed to do. So I like this part. I really think this is important. Flexibility came with a price tag. I enjoyed learning at home. I enjoyed taking my classes online because it allowed me, to be with my family, to do my work, to still have my job. But then I was honestly struggling on a lot of areas because the support was not there. If I was in a face-to-face class, then that would have been okay. Another area is that I loved my online master's degree. And at this point, if I say that right now, no problem, no big deal. Lots of people do that. But 10 years ago, when I said I was finishing or I had finished a master's degree online, people thought it was less quality or like it was not as good as a regular face-to-face program. So we've come a long way with accepting online learning, but we still probably have a long way to go. So that's where we were back in the past, right? We're looking 10 years ago. Now, where we are today, I may ask you guys this in a minute, but our experience for online learning changed March of 2020 when we all had to go online because of the pandemic. Now, the first thing I did, I was already an instructor, of course, I've been an instructor for quite some time, but the first thing I did when I knew we were going to go into online learning was to actually make a video. I wanted my students to continue to see me, to know that I was there for them. And I know I actually have the video on my phone still, but I remember holding onto my textbook for that course as if I was in class. So I held onto my textbook. I just turned out my cell phone and I recorded a video trying to make that transition from face-to-face learning to online learning as smooth as possible for my students, always thinking about them. How does it feel now not be able to ask a question in class? What channels do I have to open for that to happen? And that's looking at it from an instructor point of view. I also had to train the entire faculty to go online in 2 days. 2 days, that's all I had. We're using Zoom. Well, nobody knew anything about Zoom. How do we use Zoom? What are the tools that we're supposed to use? You have to actually create a Canvas class. Well, what are you talking about? We've never done that. So there's lots and lots of things in there that we had to do overnight. But what I get from online learning and where I think we still need to develop is I was able to give my students clear instructions and I simplified their steps. There's a lot of classes that get very complicated and convoluted. So I think that making things clear and simple for our students should be the key. Look at it, things from the student's point of view. If we use Canvas, you can do that. You can go through an entire course and it's a very different experience than when you're a teacher. And then the students have a lot of other support systems already in place. They can reach out to IT, they can reach out to the writing center, they can actually get advising online. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now that we didn't have before, that we have access online to do. But really, and this is kind of important, I think we're a bit overwhelmed. Both students, teachers, and staff. We're all trying to meet the demand of online learning, but we may just be, jumping on a moving train, right? So we're a little bit overwhelmed, especially with a very harsh transition that we did back in March of 2020. All right, so that's my experience. We're going to be using an interactive tool called Nearpod. So everybody can go into this, on this website right here, join.nearpod.com. I'm going to go ahead and go in that website right now. So let me share my screen with you guys too. I'm going to go to Nearpod. You guys can go into join.nearpod.com and oops. Give me 1 second. I'm going to give you all. Okay. So can everybody see my screen? Erica, can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yes.
So thank you. Join.nearpod.com. And you all going to enter this code right here, PGZ36, to be able to participate. I'm going to take this out for a minute, but I'm going to tell you exactly where the code is. The code is right here in the corner. And then I'm going to post a question. So just give me a second. Now, I'm going to be able to see when you guys log in. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay, so I have 3 people already. As you're logging in, and if you already logged in, I'm going to post the question, and then I'm going to start seeing some of the answers popping on the screen. Okay, so the first question for everybody is, was your experience a few years back the same as mine when it comes to online learning? Did you feel isolated? Were difficult classes even harder? Did you have difficulty connecting with instructors? Did you find the material a little dry? So those are the things that I want to hear from you guys once you log in. I know I see 19 people already in. Anna, Annie, Ariane, Barbara, Glenn, Anne, Denise, Juan Carlo, Mark Anthony, Mary Joy. Oh, such a pretty name, Mary Joy. Nicart, Paul, Philip, Quincy, Rena. Okay, so everybody logging in. Zon, Victoria. Perfect. So we got 29 so far. Very good. I got some answers already. So Zon says, yes, it's strange and new to me. Okay. Interesting statement right there. I would love to know how is it so new to you? Just to know maybe when was your first class and things like that. But I appreciate that comment. Okay, especially the part where online learning is not yet popular. Very good. Yes, we're grouping. Okay. It is frustrating because the access to internet is very difficult. Okay. See just what we talked about. Wi-Fi access, Wi-Fi lagging, accessibility, acceptability. Very good. Very good. It's very hard to adjust. I know. So we are a little overwhelmed. We're struggling just a little bit to try to keep up, right? Oh, everybody, wonderful. Thank you, Victoria, for that. It's difficult. Yes, it's very hard because we're used to physical classes. So yes, we went from 100% face-to-face coursework, sometimes for undergrad students, sometimes for graduate students, to a very online involved idea of engaging. Oh, I think I only have room for 40 students. That's okay. There are some difficulties with online learning. Oh, this one's interesting, Ram. Thank you for your honesty. He or she says, I'm more lazy than the times when we were all in school. Okay, so it's harder to push yourself, right? It's putting a lot of work on the student. I get it. It's not easy. You either watch a movie or a musical, or you have to do your homework. So you're like always struggling. And I don't know if it's just me, but my homework, it's always in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. I'm washing the dishes. I was like, I gotta go do my homework. I'm picking my son from school, or whatever it is, I'm driving. I was like, oh, I gotta get home and do my homework. So I get it. I totally get it. If you want to comment and you're not able to join the Nearpod session here, you can go and type your comment on the chat, okay? Because I realize that there's a limit of 4 students here. Thank you, Ren, for that comment. We're just exploded distance learning since last year due to the pandemic. It's quite challenging, both for teachers, students, and even their families. Oh my God, that is so true, Anna. I'm gonna give you a little heart in there. Yes. It's very difficult for families because you have to almost put like you're helping your 5-year-old do their homework while you have to do your homework, while your husband is working, and you have children running around and the house is a mess and pets are barking. I had a dog at one point, or the cat comes through the screen. So it does put a lot of pressure in families. Yes. Before attending national and international webinars like this was very expensive because virtual seminars are not yet a thing. Okay, interesting concept. Yeah, access to education has been it's a privilege, which I hope will change more with online learning and with open source, where everything should be out there. Learning should not be a privilege, should be a right. Since the pandemic in 2020, our classes were online. In fact, I am a tech challenge teacher. I'm listening to you, Maria Teresa. I understand technical skills are not something that we were taught that much and when we were getting our training as instructors. So that can be challenging. Nobody taught us how to develop an entire course online, let alone to do blended learning or flex learners. Like what is all of that? So I totally understand. Let me see. It was an abrupt adjustment. Yes, as a millennial teacher, I'm still coping with the new normal education. Yes, it was confusing for both the students and professors. Some conversations I'm misunderstood by professors, especially when negotiated with deadlines. That's very, very important. And communication is not the same in an online environment as it was, as it is face-to-face. You can be misconstructed. What you meant does not come across right. I completely understand. And that happens also in a work environment because I have been part of that. You meant to say one thing, but the way it comes across, it's not right, or someone takes it a different way. Very interesting. Yes. Okay, this is a really interesting idea, not only for the teacher to be the guide, but to help one another with your peers. Okay. It's Maria Teresa. Okay, 60 years old. Thank you for sharing that. And you love online learning. That's really great. It is cost effective. It does save you a little bit of money. So really, really good input. Yes, it's difficult to cope. I have Lawrence. He says, yes, especially in the part of lessons, assessment, and activities being dry. Yeah. I think we can do an entire session just in assessments, because I don't think online learning has been able to address assessing knowledge just quite well yet. Let's see. Yes, it's very hard, but perseverance is a virtue. Thank you, Marlon. Very good, very good. It's true. We got to push through. Also, teachers also had difficulties. Oh, I love that. A lot of teachers are old and not techy enough and I cannot keep up with learning. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, we were all, as an instructor, I was trying to figure out how to best teach my class. I used to have a board in the back. There's actually a piece of technology that I want to give you guys on that, where I was still trying to write in a board, but doing a recording. I remember, I think it was a picture of a teacher teaching her classes from her bathroom because her tile, the bathroom tile, was erasable. So that's the board that she was able to find. I mean, teachers got so creative. Somebody was trying to do something like their computer camera, trying to write for the students to see, and how did she flipped it? Somebody was hanging their phone from like midair. I don't even know. So that's an important point that the teachers also struggled to get on board. Internet connection, very good. Yeah, once you get to do online learning, you kind of enjoy it because you're like, ooh, it's kind of fun and flexible, and it gives you a flexible schedule. I love online teaching. Very good. Love having students in the breakout sessions and the breakout rooms. Yes, similar experience way back in 2008. I use a blended class where we use Yahoo groups with my class. It's flat. It's like a bookmark or curriculum page. Now teaching in public schools is more clear, and the digital divide and social economic issues. Yeah, 2008, 2009, very early onset. So just imagine what is going to be 10 years from now, right? We're just looking back, how far we've come. I think it's an incredibly exciting opportunity for us to see what the future holds in education, especially online learning. Conducting science experiments are quite hard. We only use simulation application with limited features. I agree. When we started seeing chemistry being taught online, I'm like, how do you learn chemistry online? Like, I you know, part of learning chemistry, it's to be in the lab, right? Putting things in a way, to be able to calculate things and to see things change and react. How do you do that online? But as instructors, as institutions, we do that through video simulation. So we've gotten very creative. But at the beginning, I was like, how do you teach chemistry? How do you teach biology? How do you teach these subjects that require a lab? So very, very interesting input. Thank you, Nicard. And then I had some people that posted some things on the chat. Yeah, I know. It's difficult. It's hard to apply online since all students are connected to an internet. You keep and discuss things about subjects, but really don't know where they are and listen or not at all. True. This is really a great challenge to all of us. Good thing we're coping and despite and inspired. Oh, nice. Interesting. Okay. All right. And then the last one from Maria. Okay, Maria says nothing can beat face-to-face learning. Okay, students can engage better and have more fun activities. So let's beat COVID-19 so we can go back to our normal, which is no longer normal. All right, love that comment and great way to wrap up so we can move on to the next part. Yeah, it's face-to-face really the normal now. I think it's actually becoming the not so normal. And students are going to push for online interaction. Although we're seeing it's very cyclical, right? When everybody had to go online, is like, okay, all right, we're doing this. Okay, fine. And then now we kind of got used to that online learning. We may be exhausted, but we got used to it. And now we're pushing students to go back face to face. But some students are like, I don't want to go back to face to face. I'm happy with what I have. So really, what is the normal? Very good comment. Okay. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to go back to the presentation. I have more questions for you guys, and I wish we definitely had much more time, but I have more things to cover because the questions are really important. It makes us reflect, it makes us think, it makes us hopefully improve. But we may have to do that at a later time. That's okay. Now here is some more facts and information when it comes to online learning. At this time, there is 300 million daily meeting participants in Zoom. 300 million. Okay. And this was a 2,900% increase since 2019. So Zoom became the normal, as we may think it wasn't or it isn't. Nobody knew about Zoom February of 2020, or very few people. March 2020, Zoom, what is that, right? So it was a 3,000% increase in Zoom interaction online. Technology has changed online learning. We have Zoom, we have Teams, we have Nearpod, we have Kahoot, we have Canvas, we have Google Classroom, we have Blackboard, we have Turnitin, and then there's other resources that I also want to give you guys. So it's changing, and it's going to continue to change. COVID did push the industry to innovate, to change, to challenge, to develop, which is interesting, to grow. Of course, we have live class streams. We have recorded sessions just like this one. We have teaching videos. We have online activities. So there's a whole array of things that we now have online. It does gives us accessibility. The students can share their screen. That's my favorite part also, when they get to interact and share their screen or write on the screen, especially here in Zoom. One of the things I love, and as a teacher, I probably should have been doing this, like accessibility, sharing, those are tools that we didn't have before, right? Just like if it was a regular classroom. Input, this is again my favorite. I can give you guys the whiteboard right now and you can just type your comments too. So really interesting, interactive things to do. But I think that we need to do a little bit more with online assessment. How are we testing our students' knowledge? Is it still multiple choice questions? How do we know they really know the material? Is proctoring the thing that we should be working on? Is it open book? Is it a project based? Do we think about the integrity of a test? Things like that we need to worry about. Okay. All right. And of course I have to erase all of this. Good. I had somebody else probably posted something. Let me take a look at that comment. Digital cheat. Yes, I know. The integrity of our tests. How do we know our tests are not online and being distributed to all students? And that's really an interesting question, which I may be able to provide a solution in a little bit. Now, in order for us to be able to create classes online, we have to, of course, start from the beginning. We have to design a curriculum. We have to develop lesson plans. We have to do videos. We have to remove the affective filter, be able to be friendly enough, approachable, yet still maintain our professionalism for the students to participate, to feel welcome, to feel that they can ask questions. So there's a lot of things that we have to do in an online environment. And then also focusing, as usual, in our student learning outcomes. I developed an entire online program with the University of Central Florida for teaching English as a second language. And lesson plans were the thing that everything kind of sprout out of from. So we had to, of course, make sure the content was relevant, how we divided the content for an online course. We had low risk activities, things that allow students to practice, also interact and even gamify it, right? Game-like. And then we had a few additional low risk and higher risk activities where they would actually demonstrate their knowledge. This should say high risk. My apologies there. Also, your attention online is a little short. These sessions are an hour and a half, and I hope to be able to make them interactive enough to keep your attention for that hour and a half. But for a student to sit online for an hour and a half, that's very difficult. So we do short videos, 5-minute videos, and then you break them down, right? You break a class down on an intro video, which is like a minute or two the most. Then you let them do an activity, then you do a 5-minute video, then you do the next activity, then another 5-minute video. So you have to really count on the time that you have with your students. It has to be very, very high quality interaction. And then, so you start with your curriculum, then you develop lesson plans, then you create content, right? Videos. And then the last one is production, for you to be able to develop an entire online course. Those are the 4 steps. I'm just going to go back one more time. First step, curriculum. What are you going to teach, right? How do you break it up? How do you have different modules? Then you create the lesson plans for each one of those modules, right? How are you going to break that lesson plan up? How do you going to do an intro video? You may have to write scripts. Then, of course, that's where the content comes. You write scripts. You have to put yourself in your students' shoes. What will be interactive for them? How are you going to talk to them? Just like you're in a regular class. And then the last is production. You probably have to have like a home studio. I know when Joseph was here last time, he mentioned that I think the university is working on getting a studio for instructors to be able to develop videos. But everybody has a phone, right? Regardless, what kind of phone you have, you probably have access to recording a video. It may not be as elaborate as some of the videos that you can get to do, but there is hope there. And then the assessment, there's a key part in here. I love project-based assessment and project-based learning. So that might be something to look into, and I'll develop that idea in just a minute. And of course, we still have to have tests, we have to have quizzes, we have to have a final. So you have to write all of those. So it's a lot of work for an instructor to develop an online class. You may need a team of maybe you and a peer, or you and a couple of other people to do all of this. It's not that easy. I know let me see where we at when it comes to time. We're 7:15. Okay, we started a little bit late, but I think we can make it work. Let me get you guys back on Nearpod or here in the chat. Tell me, have you developed any online digital materials at this moment? Let's see. You can say, yes, I have, and this is what I have done. Let's go back to Nearpod just really quickly. I'm gonna share my Nearpod screen one more time, and I'm gonna post a question. I'm gonna stop sharing here, go back to Nearpod. And then the question this time is, have you developed digital instructional materials or wire flexible learning materials? Yes, I have. I've done this, I've done that. And maybe what has been the hardest, what has been, or the easiest, what has been the easiest part, hardest part of developing wire flexible material. So that's the other question. You guys can go ahead and answer either on the chat or here on Nearpod. If those of you who have access to the Nearpod, you can answer right there. So have you developed, and what has been the hardest or easiest part? I'm not getting anything. Let me just refresh the page here. Okay, so here we are. Rena says, yes, I have. For a class report from my professor, I used to use Canvas. Very good. The hardest will be making it look appealing and short without putting too much on a slide. Okay, very interesting. Yes, aesthetics online are important. MLS, but navigating through MLS is very challenging. Google Classrooms, I organize my lessons. I am a Department of Education teacher, broadcaster, and that couldn't, I don't know what the end of your sentence is, Mark. But yeah, Google Classroom, it's an incredible idea, because a few years back, we didn't have Google Classroom. Google Classroom is free to everybody. Basically, everybody and anybody can be a teacher now. I can teach anything I want because I have Google Classroom. It's a learning platform. It's amazing. Lack of training, I don't have higher specs of a computer to be used. Okay, interesting comment, Philip. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, through Google Class and Blackboard. Okay, very good. That would be the hardest since we write scripts. Oh my God, yes, writing scripts are not easy. I tried using a Moodle model. I have not used that. I know it's funny. It's probably very close to Canvas. Quipper. Ooh, I'm gonna write that one down. I have not heard of Quipper. Cool. I have somebody in the chat. Let's see. Not really. Most of my digital are guided from others, made by other teachers from our institution. We just revise them, fit our ideal teaching strategy. Okay, that's good. You can use some sort of framework or reference to facilitate your own digital learning and how to develop those materials. Very interesting. I don't know if I have any other comments here. If not, we go back to our, okay, one more from Anne. Yes, I always have fun when creating presentations and editing videos, but the only downside is that it takes a lot of work. Yes. I have a potato laptop. Oh, I love that. And I know the struggle. I have a MacBook Pro. I love my Mac. But I can understand a few years back, I still have a MacBook at that point. And I think I was one of the only instructors that did not struggle with video editing because the files are so large and video editing can take so much space in your computer. And we didn't make computers with all the online. So basically, it's such an interesting point. Technology has not yet fully caught up with the idea of us teaching online classes because we don't have the actual space and memory and capability to have like super quality videos and for us to process all of that in our computers. So excellent point, Anne. And your laptop may be a potato because it wasn't designed for the type of things that you're asking it to do. So it's a really interesting point. Yeah, PowerPoint presentation. Video editing. Okay. So this is one of the things I tell my students and all these workshops and when I'm working with teachers. I know we have all watched the Oscars, right? Oscars. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the Academy. The actors are important. Best movie is important, but listen, video editing should be highlighted. This should deserve more time when it comes to the Oscars because those people are brilliant. Okay, video editing, it's not easy. It's the hardest thing on the face of the earth, and then it also takes a lot of time. It's highly time consuming. So I use a video editing software called Camtasia. It's a little bit of, it's a little friendly user. It's for everyday people to edit videos, but video editing, the hardest thing as an instructor to do. And also writing the scripts. I like that part too. All right, very good. Thank you all. I use real objects sometimes. Yes, I do too, right? That's the thing that makes online learning fun, that we kind of blend things in. Okay, back in 2008. All right, well, thank you, Barbara, for that. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna go back to the presentation real quick because I know we're almost running out of time, you guys. See, it's so difficult. I do want to go a little bit further into curriculum here. I kind of went over that already. Just decide what areas you find that are truly important to teach. This one first. You have to start with writing your SLOs. Now, I know that in teacher school, they tell us, it's still kind of interesting, the difference between student learning outcomes and objectives. But your SLOs are the big picture. If you have played with like Google Earth, that's your SLOs. Your SLOs should be looking from space at your curriculum. My SLOs are not more than 3, 4 tops. When your SLOs become 20, then they're not really SLOs, they're objectives. You're itemizing everything that you want for your class, but your SLOs should always be that Google Earth view of your class. What are the 3 things that you want them to truly learn? What are the 4 things that you really want students to walk away with? If you have 20 in there, in my opinion, you already mixing student learning outcomes with objectives. Of course, you have to break things down into units, weeks, topics. When you're developing curriculum, you have to think how you're going to assess your students. Are you going to give them a quiz? Are you going to give them a test? Is it going to be multiple choice? Is it going to be a video? I do love video feedback. Our students enjoy seeing us as if we were talking in class. So that's something else to think about. And then, of course, when you're developing your curriculum, what kind of online materials, what kind of tools can I use to develop this course? I put a little heart next to lesson plans because I think that as teachers, we get confused with everything that's happening and we forget that our bread and butter is lesson planning. Lesson plans is what keeps us sane, is what keeps us from running and never coming back. We know what we have to do each step of the way, and then we just have to do exactly the same thing we have been doing and just kind of turning it into a lesson plan for online learning. You have a warm-up, you have an introduction to the topic, then you practice something, you ask the students a question, then you teach them, right? You actually have a teaching moment, and then you let them practice and maybe another practice, and then you teach them something again, right? You're breaking that lesson plan. So I think that's important. Here's where you write all your content when you're developing online classes. Your lesson plan. You don't have to go into programs. You can go back to good old paper, Word document, creating a table, a lesson plan. This is where you write your scripts. You do have to write your activities. That's kind of the difficult part, I think, that you have to create those conversations, create those games, and use different tools to engage students in low risk and in high risk activities. And then finally, after you have done curriculum, lesson planning, and then of course, you are able to do production, right? I thought I was, hold on. So you did curriculum, your lesson planning, and then you can of course do production. Production is having that home studio. I was able to, right at the beginning of the pandemic, I ordered a whole bunch of things online. I think I was ahead of the game. I got a microphone, a black screen. I got one of those ring lights that all the YouTubers are using. So lots of things that I was able to use right from my house. Although the university has a studio, you couldn't go to the university because it was closed, but I still had to teach. So I managed to do that. So it's an interesting process to try to do production of videos of activities, everything from home, but it's possible, it can be done. So that just tells us where we started, where we are, and now where we're going. I think that online learning is amazing. I think we do have a lot of potential. There's lots of tools and resources. We just have to kind of concentrate on really what's the important part. I think that we need to move students forward and not just teaching them facts and information, but really making them think. So critical thinking still needs to be in an online learning environment, okay? Asking them, how do you see this differently? They have to learn to be critical. They have to develop that. It's not very easy. I teach languages, and when I ask my students, how would you change this? How would you say this differently? Who would you say this to? They look at me like, teacher, you tell me. No, I'm pushing you to develop those critical thinking skills. Also, we have to push them for collaboration. They have to learn to work with other students. Why? Because in the real work environment, they're going to have to be part of a team, and they have to learn collaboration. They have to understand that the needs of a group sometimes outweigh their individual needs. They have to also be creative, put lots of input, right? I know teamwork is not fun. Some students do, 90%, and then there's one student that does 10%, but we have to push our students for collaboration. And one of the things that I was telling you guys earlier is project-based learning. Project-based learning is not boring. It does reflect in the real life need of project-based, because that's how it works in the real work environment. Everything's a project. It also pushes for collaboration, it pushes for critical thinking and for communication. So I think it actually has everything that we need to move forward in education in one. So I would encourage you to look into project-based. And then of course we have to push our students for creativity, right? Real life applications. I remember one of my favorite assignments was to create a brochure for something, and it stayed with me after all these years. And this was my undergrad, because it gave me some creativity freedom. I was able to put information that I wanted, right? Pictures. Also, sometimes you can tell students, pick a product, pick something that you think can be improved. And I don't know if you know this vacuum cleaners, there's the Dyson vacuum cleaner. So we've been vacuuming our floors for years the same way. Here comes this engineer, we're like, no, you're doing this wrong. So how can we push our students to do that, to look at things differently and be creative about it? They can pretty much seek inspiration from anything and everywhere. So I encourage them, like, how can you apply this? How can you marry this subject with this other one, making it very interdisciplinary? Who is this in service of, right? Who does this apply to? Can somebody else use it? Can somebody else, so trying to push our students to be creative. And I asked you guys about the musical, and I know we're wrapping things up for like a Q&A session. My favorite at this moment musical is Hamilton, because for my students, I am looking for a mind at work. Meaning I am looking for those individuals who are able to see way beyond the material and develop their own mind. Critical thinking, not about criticizing. How can I do this better? How can this be done differently? Who does this apply to? Who else will benefit from this? So that's what I want to push my students to do, to have a mind at work. So I think that's my favorite musical this time. I watch and listen to Hamilton all the time, and it just makes me really excited that that's what I was able to connect my students with. And I hope you are too, that you are looking for minds at work, that you continue to inspire your students, and those of you who are students to try to push eventually to inspire others to be better, to be more critical, to benefit the world around us. So that's all I have for today. I do have some examples of some videos and some activities that I developed for the online English program that I developed with UCF. This is a video. Interesting enough, I'm wearing the same sweater on that video, but I use, of course, Camtasia to edit the video. I can show you guys just a little bit of it. Of course, it's me, just as if I was in the classroom with some other pointers. You have to really understand how you divide your students' attention. So a short video. This one's really interesting because it's a low risk activity. The students read the paragraph and then they answer questions as they're going. So that one's a really interesting piece. Our typical questions, of course, we need to do that sometimes. Low risk, more gamified. This is an activity that the university created called Materia. And then they have to sort things out. So they have to put things in the right folder. And again, it's like a game, right? You want to make sure you get them all in the right place. But overall, we really are looking for the student's experience. Always think about what they are experiencing and where they at. These are some of the things that I have used. The material, again, it was an in-house game building team did this, and we have access to this. I love Nearpod. I think collaboration, just like we did it for today, it's amazing. There is many more other things that you could do with Nearpod, so I encourage you to go and explore. Kahoot is still, I just use Kahoot for knowledge checking, like in class. H5P is an activity building software. Also, I think it's free for some things. You may have to have a subscription for it. Of course, Canvas, Zoom, Google. QR codes are interesting for education too. So I would encourage you to, like, if you have a sheet that you want to share, instead of like, here's the PDF, you could just give them a QR code. Use social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Have a Facebook group for your class where you post information. For video editing, I told you guys I use Camtasia, and there was just one more thing I wanted to give you. It's called a light board. I don't know, anybody knows what a light board is? I know we're running out of time, but light board, anybody? No? Okay, so it's super fun because I'm going to show you exactly what it is. Give me 1 second. I told you guys that at the beginning, I was teaching with like a board here, right? And usually in a typical normal class, we're teaching like this. Our students are seeing our backs. Our backs may be beautiful, but they want to really see us. So Lightboard allows us to do that. And I'm going to show you exactly how it works. You can build your own Lightboard. I actually built my own Lightboard at home. I'm going to show you guys really briefly what it's like.
Your website is the. Hello, everybody. This is Will Mitchell from Startup Pros, and I'm really excited to show you today a brand new thing that we are just finishing up here, a brand new project that we just finished here at the Startup Pros office, a floating body. But what you probably can see.
Okay, there's just a lot of introduction here, but look what he's doing.
This is pretty awesome. We call it a light board, and this is something we've been working.
So he's like writing on the screen. You will never see his back. You will always see his face, and he's able to write. So what he has in front of him, it's a glass, okay? As if I had a glass right here in front of me. It allows you to write. His studio is super dark because he has lights around that glass that shine through the glass, and then they make the letters pop out. Again, you can build a light board from home, with plexiglass, with some lights. I did this last year. Went to Home Depot, got me a plexiglass and some lights, and was able to build my own light board. It does take a little bit of technical skills, but it's a really interesting tool. It's a really interesting tool. So see, it's a light board, but you're on this side, your camera is on this side, and then you can record your videos. You will flip the videos so the students are actually reading the letters correctly. So it's a very interesting kind of high-tech tool that we have also been using for teaching that just kind of came out recently. He explains the whole thing on how to build it, what you need. You need a black backdrop, and some of the things that you need. There's another lady, this one, she was my inspiration when I was building my own light board. It was very simple. She had some brackets and the lights and her plexiglass. So nothing super technologically advanced. Here it is. Very easy. That's exactly what mine looks like. And she puts a black backdrop, and this is her studio. And as you can see, of course, when you're right on the light board, the letters are going to be facing you, but the camera actually flips them. Your phone flips them. Okay, there's that technology that it actually flips them. And here she is, right in front of her light board. When she writes, this is how she writes, but the camera does the flipping for you. So again, a great other piece of technology that you guys can use to teach your students. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen here. I saw a couple of chats probably, and yeah. Okay, you use this. Okay, math subjects for the department. Wonderful, Anthony. Thank you, Mark Anthony. Lightboard, yes. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today. Let me just make sure, go back here. So those were some of the tools. Yeah, and I probably have like 5 more minutes for questions if you have any. Thank you, Erica, for moderating, and everybody for a wonderful session.
Thank you, Ms. Luisa, for your informative discussion. It has educated us regarding flexible learning, digital tools, together with their advantages and disadvantages. And thank you for sharing your own experiences to us. It means a lot. And it's really helpful and very timely, especially now we are in a generation where fast-moving technology is present. And as we all know, schools in countries all over the world have adjusted to online learning due to the pandemic. So, everyone, the floor is now open for questions. And due to the limited time, you can only accommodate 2 to 3 questions max. So, you can raise your hands or type your questions in the chat box.
I think everybody's ready for either dinner or just TV, or maybe to go watch a musical.
Yeah, kind of hungry too.
I know. It's time for dinner for you guys.
Okay, guys. Does anyone have a question for Ma'am Louisa? Okay. We are thinking.
I know, everybody's so sweet. You're all very welcome.
Yeah. I kind of have a question, ma'am.
Sure.
Regarding academic integrity, how can we prevent what the commenter said, the digital cheating in class?
That's what I was thinking, that instead of doing like multiple choice type of tests and quizzes, the quizzes may be more applicable. Like if you ask them to develop this or develop that, like it's not like regurgitating knowledge versus applying it. So that's why I like project based, because you can have them like research this. I don't know, I remember one of my classes, I had the students research a nonprofit and do a whole presentation about it. So to me, that demonstrates much higher thinking than just telling me the facts about nonprofits. That's what I would do to alleviate cheating. Also, when you have them type their answers, so give short answers about certain things instead of multiple choice. Because with a multiple choice, I could be on the phone with my friend and we can have the same question, the same answer. But when they have to answer in a short, sentence or in a short paragraph, then I'm not gonna, and I know, and I tell them this, I say, whenever I see your answers, I can tell whether you did this on your own or not. And also if I have the same answer for 2 students, I'm like, you didn't do this on your own. And then I can kind of pick who did what. So who was cheating, who was actually working in a team to complete the test. So to me, short answers, short sentences, short answers, also short paragraphs and project based are really the key of alleviating some of that assessment integrity.
Thank you for answering my question, ma'am. And as a future educator, this is a very important information for me that I will apply to my future classes. And I know that our fellow teachers, faculties, and future educators like me feels the same. Thank you, everyone, for your cooperation and participation. Thank you, Ms. Louisa, again, for your very informative discussion. And we are now on the last part of our program, and indeed, it has been a very productive evening. And I know that you're probably tired from a full day at work and at school. Thank you, Ms. Louisa, for giving us such insightful discussion and giving us a part of your time to educate us regarding digital learning and learning tools, as well as flexible learning. And we would also like to thank the administration, to Ma'am Jen, to Sir Hintalan. Thank you, teachers, students, and faculties from different places of the world present tonight, and for giving a part of your busy schedules on participating with our webinar. Thank you for our tech support and documentation in making our program sail smoothly and making this program possible. And before we end, I want to remind everyone, I think there is an evaluation form provided in the chat box. Yes. Please give us feedbacks to help us be better in our future events and webinars. And that concludes our program for tonight. Once again, thank you everyone for attending, cooperating, and participating. I am Maria Mariela Erica Di Besora. Thank you, And good night. Happy dinner. Goodbye, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Thank you, Ma'am
everybody.
Louisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am
My
Louisa.
pleasure, Joseph.
Thank you very much.